Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Chalakodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopefully elect out there, Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. I'm the priest Shimon. This week's topic, I'm going to be responding to that guy in Chicago that got shot 96 times by the police. Alright, now when you watch the video, it's just another nigga dead. Well, not, I mean, look, when you watch the video, the guy clearly was in the wrong. He shot at the cops first. He got pulled over. He didn't follow instructions, all right, and they blasted him. And but what they're trying to do is make it a big deal about it. Like, yo, why did the cops shoot it? And you know, but why are they doing that? Well, 2 Corinthians 2:11. We're not ignorant of Satan's vices. There's been this big push, all right, to try to get defund the police and have less cops with firearms. Now, why would they want things like that? Or why would they want this very heavy, strict gun regulations to happen? Because, all right, when martial law happens, all right, they don't want not only individuals to have less guns, but they want law enforcement to have less guns, because there's going to come a time when it says they're not going to record their kings and priests, people with their kings and princes, all right, when all hell breaks loose. In other words, certain police officers are going to break off from that when all hell break loose and use their own firearms to do what they think is right in their opinion. So the whole goal is to, as much as possible, litigate who has these guns. Okay, now this is the book of Matthew chapter 10 verse 16. This is what the Lord told us. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Right, so that guy speaking with him, what he did was he lacked complete wisdom. All right, I remember Elder Inab said this many years ago when we were on Delancey. If a cop pulls you over, you roll down your fucking windows and say, "How may I help you, officer?" It's the wise thing to do. All right, not drive around without insurance and just pretty much all this type of stuff. Our apostles and elders been telling us these things. All right, how to use discretion and wisdom. Why? Because they found it in the scriptures. All right. And that Jake, all right, and many like him, they don't apply wisdom and discretion. They're driving around, okay, and you already got a record. By the way, that dude was just a nigga anyways, but you have a record, all right, and been in jail for a particular, for carrying a firearm illegally. What you're going to do, drive around with tinted windows, all right, and a firearm. Stupid. It says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Right, wise, use wisdom. Jake will say things like, man, I can't work at McDonald's, so they try to get quick money in the streets by selling drugs. What is the long-term typical outcome of doing that? You land up in jail. Now you in jail, which I mean, shit, is working at McDonald's better than being in jail? I mean, common sense will tell you yes, but common sense isn't common. So these Jakes, why do they make these decisions? Because they're very emotional, man. Jake is, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, they're easily triggered. They're very emotional. Sometimes they don't think with logic. And even amongst the men, why most of the men are raised by women nowadays? Again, by design. Esau knows this. He studies our people. He studies all these situations. He knows how to play on our emotions, okay? And Jake fall for the okadoke a lot of times, man. Now, we in this truth, knowing this truth, just because we're in this truth, that still applies to us. We have to be harmless, man. We're always trying to be our best to rule our emotions. Even when these people get to you in the world, you have to rule your spirit. You have to practice ruling your spirit and controlling your feelings, okay? This is the book of, by the way, the Lord said be harmless as doves. We're not predators, okay? We're the prey in this thing, okay? So we therefore have to use wisdom and just trust in the Most High, all right? This is the book of Isaiah 41:14. It says, fear not. It says, fear not. It says, fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel. Now, why did the Lord call us a worm? Because worms, they don't have hands, they don't have horns, they're defenseless, right? They don't have gnashing teeth. So the Lord is saying, look, you don't have nothing to fear about, because what? I'm going to be your horn and your protector and all that. So that's the thing, you know. Yeah, brothers practice the martial arts, and we learn different things and what have you, and you know, we know our self-defense, but we don't go around like looking for a reason to use it like some niggas in the world might do things like that. Nah, man. Almost as doves, putting everything in the Most High. A lot of times you want to, you know, flare up and take things in your own accord. Just send up a curse, man. You know? It says, and ye men of Israel, I will help thee, saith the Lord, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. So, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is who we put our trust in. That's it. Now, that Jake, guaranteed, guaranteed. If he was in the truth, he wouldn't have made that decision. He wouldn't be making those life decisions if he was following the truth. Why is that? Because the book of Deuteronomy 30 and 19 says this: I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Right. So how do you choose life? When you follow the scriptures. Alright? Well, Yahweh Shem Yahushua says to do the laws, the statutes, and commandments, the wisdom left behind by our forefathers. Okay? You are choosing life. Okay? If he followed the wisdom of the scriptures, he wouldn't be in that predicament. Alright? What predicament am I talking about? In a fucking standoff, alright, with law enforcement. Alright? You wouldn't be driving around with illegal firearms. Alright? Getting yourself caught up in drugs and all this type of stuff like that. You wouldn't be doing that, alright? If you're following the scriptures. Because the scriptures will speak against these things. Going back to the point about ruling our spirit, this is the book of Proverbs 16 and 32 now. It says that he that is slow to anger is better than is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. So it's good to be in control of your emotions, thinking before you take your next steps, alright? Thoroughly, alright? Be very calculative. And the Lord is saying it's better to rule your spirit than to take a city. Now, why is that? Because the man that took the city conquered another man, which is impressive. But the man that ruled the spirit conquered himself, which is even more impressive. Most people can't conquer themselves. Alright? You're very familiar with the saying, you know, we are our biggest enemies, alright? Because, you know, it's a constant war and battle between us and within us. But individuals that's able to rule over their own addictions, their own vices, their own weaknesses, alright, their own flaws, alright, their emotions, are very few and far between than that somebody, like, let's take Mike Tyson for example, alright? In his early stages of his career, Mike Tyson's early stages of his career, alright, guess what? He was dominating, okay? He was dominating for a lot of his career. But off the field, okay? Off the boxing match, and a lot of these athletes that, you know, are very dominant, mighty men, they get off the field and they can't rule their spirit. They can't control their vices. So how come they always get caught up in shit? So which one is more difficult? Alright? Having hundreds of millions of dollars and a bunch of women before you and just indulging in your heart's content, or having the discipline to not just get the money but keep that shit and not get caught up in no bullshit. See? That one requires more discipline. So that's what we ought to have, alright? Discipline and rule of our spirit, okay? Because this, you know, that situation, alright, the cops and what have you, guess what? It can happen, all right, with any sorts of people out over you. You might be at the job, somebody that has authority over you is provoking you, all right. You have to have the wherewithal to rule your spirit, all right. You're being a demon. I'm gonna send up my curses, all right, and I'm not gonna get flooded. I'm just gonna keep working. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Ephesians 5:15 says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." Right? And what that Jake did out there to get himself blasted, and not just him, many of these other Israelites that do these things, all right, they're not using wisdom. They're not using discretion. The scriptures tell you to agree with that adversary quickly. Okay? The scriptures speak about who's pitying those that get bit by the, who could pity a charmer that gets bit by a serpent, right? Circumspect also means to look around and observe. Around, spect, to look around. Not as fools, but as wise. Redeeming the times, because the days are evil, right? Knowing what time we're in, end times. Wherefore, be not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Okay? So what is the will of the Lord? In his situation, he'd understand that the will of the Lord is this. Romans 13:1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High. So is this a wicked rulership now? Absolutely. But who set it up? The Most High. Who's the one behind it? The Most High. Dealing with both sides. Verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive themselves damnation. That makes me think about that account years ago. Ayash Moth, he was a part of the North Carolina camp, and he's getting locked up, and when you look at it, all right, you from the outside looking in, without any sort of experience, you'd have been like, yo, man, that's so dope, man. He's fighting off the cops. Not fighting off the cops, but he's kind of resisting the cops and throwing out scriptures and all that stuff. But it's like, no, why would you do that? Cops tell you to leave, whatever. You keep it pushing, all right? If the cops are being complete demons, all right, and fucking with you even when you're using the wisdom, guess what? You just teach somewhere else. Anytime somebody come out, we're teaching at a particular spot, hey man, you guys can't teach in front of this building. You're not gonna say nothing. Yo, well, the Lord put us here, and oh sure, no problem, we'll move and continue teaching. See? 3. For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. So again, all right, if that dude, all right, and others like him had the wisdom, stop getting in these confrontations with the police, okay? Just follow the laws, all right? Do what you gotta do, pay your taxes. You know what I mean? Just pay your fucking tickets. Brothers? Simple shit, all right? It'll keep you out of, the way of this serpent, man. The way of this devil. All right, with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Rakak Kodash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopefully elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the ammo, truth, and sincerity. Shalom.